I'm not sure if I've made a video on these caddies, and just make sure you disconnect the ABS sensor back here when doing the job to prevent stress on it. And don't drive your pads down to the end on these cars. Now, when you drive to the end, it becomes time consuming and the rubbers are stretched all the way out, the dust boot around it. Open the bleeder when you do it. Obviously you loosen the 2 bolts. A lot of kits will come with the bolts to replace the old ones, but that's an 11 mil, the rest 13, that's 15 to hold on for contra. But make sure you lubricate the boots with silicone or lithium grease, and as you wind the piston in, make sure that the boot doesn't carry and rip. It can be quite hard sometimes because it's actually going to be ripped and you can't see it. Removing brake fluid usually helps the process. Okay, but I know plenty of mechanics that till today they push pistons back and they wouldn't dream of ever opening it. Some people, they get all like in a tizzy, they think of air, they think of bleeding, brakes. It's a total misunderstanding from day one of training to not open these to evacuate fluid. But I've just come and gone from this car. I mean, it's relentless. Normally I take them off on the bench, but I didn't need to here, but I did need to leave the vehicle. It just was just relentlessly tight, you know, and it's funny, you think, why is it tight? I don't know why it's tight, but it can be, you know, tight, very, very tight. So make sure the caliper is in the seated position when bleeding it, always, okay? When bleeding brakes, if there's a problem, I mean, you pull them out, make sure these aren't jammed, which they usually are, but often a tap here can begin to resolve the issue, and make sure that you go slow. Like, you can open it all the way. Okay, if everything's progressing normally, not all the way, but halfway, whatever, you can see the dirt. Sorry, I'll just readjust this light. Now, when in doubt for fine bubbles at the end, it's always good to just do it slow. So there's small bubbles coming out. These Volkswagens are a problem with a bad pedal after you do the job. I have on many occasions re-bled the brakes for whatever reason it is. But you can see here there's tiny, tiny, tiny air bubbles coming out, out. This is not sort of standard with every car. Now, I've not opened the master cylinder up top. It's quite hard to see in the TDI Caddy. Normally, any problematic car, you crack that cap open. Bear in mind, it's hydroscopic fluid and it's constantly absorbing moisture, which can be a problem in our climate. But yeah, always open the master cylinder cap. And as you reach the end, for fine bleeding, you know, like fine bleeding, you just a little bit. That's barely cracked and it's bleeding. You can look like that very carefully with a light until all the crud comes out, but it can be quite time consuming. Okay, so you can see here the boots are damaged and this car's got 400,000 Ks, but the other one's not. In the case of damage, you would just either change the boot or just put the brake compatible grease, just ensuring it's not going to splash everywhere later on. Now's the time also to check your wheel bearings, and you can really hear them and stuff like that. You can see the shock absorber over there. And yeah, don't forget to reconnect your ABS sensor line, and no need to unclip any circlips or anything there. No need to get overwhelmed, but there was a reason I didn't just pull this off the car. It's not as straightforward as other models. On Audi A3, I'll pull the caliper straight off and go back there when they're this far out extended. And you know, anyone who would have watched me doing this, you wouldn't envy it. It's just horrible. Okay, you know, absolutely horrible. They're the new pads. Okay. Very important to keep that, you know, gliding in and out nicely, the pad. Okay. So, tedious, messy, painful, you know, risk of injury always on these. And that's it. That goes for all the Volkswagen type cars. Holden Astra, you know, probably more than 50% of the domestic cars in Europe, European type cars. Not BMW and Mercedes, though. They don't do this shit. Okay. BMW might have started now, actually. Anyway, hope that helps. You can see there's still air trapped in here. So with a plastic tool like this, see that? Air's gone. Okay, bye.